There's no foundation in reality, nor is it real because there's not two separate things in Ray. So it's a virtual distinction with foundation in reality, probably like a major virtual distinction in scholastic terms. That's essentially what you're saying. Since the concepts, essence, and versus like relations, or which would be the persons, don't mutually include each other. It's just a major virtual distinction rather than a minor.
No, because Glorious contrasts that in the next sentence because he says that the persons they're different because of the power of opposition, and that's like a silent
Right, but opposition
is just prior statements by which the essence is not really different from the persons.
Right, but opposition is imported by those formalities. So you have for the one res, and then you have these formalities, and these formalities import negation of these formalities formally, and that's what constitutes this difference.
Difference between the essence and person.
Kata, your mic is bugging again.
Oh yeah, I'm a dude. What? Shouldn't be. But like within a formal kind of like paternity, it only corresponds to correlative affiliation. It doesn't. It signifies the essence indirectly. So I don't think you can get like a major virtue out of it. But like, I think Scholarius like
Major virtual distinctions, those are aspects that aren't conceptually inclusive of another, but they are still one in reality, where you have God's essence and then God's relational opposition. So I think you're just respectfully begging the question.
I don't think Scholarius is referring to that. Seems very unlikely.
So, but that's how it's cashed out with at least the Thomists when it comes to the Thomistic Trinity.
Well, why are you applying the Thomistic way of distinction to us?
Well, I'm not. You said that it's not a SCOTUS formal distinction.
Yeah, because it's not. That's what I'm pointing out. Because I gave you the definition of what our classification of formal action would be. It's practically a real distinction. It's a real distinction within Orthodox thought.
Right. So a reason like what?
No, we don't use these terms, bro. No.
Okay, you don't have to use the term, but that's what you're invoking. It's fine. That's just a major virtual distinction.
The text doesn't give ground to major virtual.
It does, actually. It's not purely logical, like I said. It's not real as two separate realities in Ray. It's a virtual distinction with a foundation. That's what a major virtual distinction is in scholastic terms, because the concepts, essence and relational opposition, don't mutually include each other, yet they signify formally the same res.
So he gives in the Greek next to it, he gives two options: monologo, which is like only conceptually, which would correspond to a minor virtual. We see this because St. Ignatius himself.
That's purely logical. You're actually mistaken.
Okay, so you know Greek better than I do. That's really nice.
That's purely logical is only conceptual. Virtual distinctions have foundation in reality. You're just
but we don't use conceptual in the same way. Like we don't contemplate things in the same way that the Thomists do.
That's fine.
That wouldn't be fine, because then that shows a complete different classification of what we would even say distinctions entail.
What do you think conceptual means?
Yeah, for us, conceptual means that it's within the mind, but our mind that we're contemplating with is the nous, the eye of the soul. That is what we contemplate with.
Right.
As Saint Cyril says.
By the way, that involves formalities, but that we're just not even good at.
I mean, sure, that's okay. Like, I can grant that.
So it's a SCOTUS formal distinction.
No, just because I grant that it has to do with formalities doesn't mean I'm conceding to a formal distinction, SCOTUS formal.
So you're just begging the question then.
No, I'm not. You're just strawmanning what I'm saying.
No, I'm not, actually.
You are. You're putting things into my mouth that I'm not even saying. When I say that, sure, it can deal with formalities, doesn't automatically concede to a SCOTUS formal.
Well, if it's not in Ray in objectives, is it in Ray in objective, the distinction?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Is it in is it in reality and is it objective?
Is it in reality?
It's
and
prior
is
to
it
the work
objective?
of the intellect.
Yeah,
That's a ground.
we
Or
believe it's
work of
prior.
the
We
intellect.
believe it's prior to the intellect.
right. So formal,
No.
like a SCOTUS.
That will be the
No!
relative. But then again, Moses. The thing is that in the East we have Saint Gennadius, who is familiar with both Scotism and Thomism, and he gives a very pretty extensive
You're just saying
explanation.
Solario says, therefore. Okay.
No, that's how we like try to put the
Your
metaphysics
mic's
in a scholastic. Okay, so we try to use Scholarius as like our translator between the Greek and like the scholastic tradition. That does mean that we're either forced into like a Thomist account of like scholasticism, or a Scotistic account.
Okay. So let me ask you. So it exists. The distinction exists independently of our thought.
Yes.
It is not real separation. It provides an intrinsic ontological basis for the difference between the person. It's in Ray.
Sure.
Okay, so that's the SCOTUS distinction. Congratulations, my friend.
No, because we don't have the same level of distinction that they do. That's why I'm telling you that you're conflating.
Oh my god. How? How am I conflating?
Brother, because we don't conceptualize the same thing the same way that they do.
That's what SCOTUS says a formal distinction is. You can call it.
Dude. Oh my gosh, Moses.
It's a SCOTUS formal distinction.
No, it's not. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yes. You can say that. Doesn't mean it's true.
Bro, and I'm presenting you why, and you're saying, "Nuh-uh, don't go this formal."
That's what you said, and you didn't actually present anything. You actually approving my case.
Brother.
So you believe that there are multiple formalities in God?
How are you using formality?
First off,
In the SCOTUS sense, it's not part of it's not like a part, not a separable thing. It's a distinct formal aspect or aspect of like intelligible content. So like a ratio that's intrinsic to the thing itself in Ray, prior to our conceptualization of the thing. So you believe in multiple formalities in God, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what grounds those formalities in God?
They're grounded by the essence.
So the essence is composite of formalities?
That doesn't follow.
That doesn't follow.
Go ahead and give the argument for that. You made an affirmative claim. Go ahead.
Because that's why I asked how do you use formality?
You first assert
Your
that it's
concepts differ in
composition.
mind the foundation for the differences in reality, but in the thing, there's only one reality, so the distinction is not formally. They are part of the intellection, or they're not part of the intellection, and there's real multiplicity in God. Okay, give your counter. Go ahead.
Okay, how do you even arrive at composition from your first
I
question?
showed you how we arrived at composition.
You didn't.
I did, actually. You just weren't
You
listening.
just asserted so.
No, you just weren't listening.
Okay, can you repeat it?
Yes. Composition is the presence of really distinct principles or parts that make together up a whole. So if something's composite, its parts are more fundamental than the whole, which means that it's dependent, therefore not the first being. You believe that there's multiple formalities in God. That's an issue.
yeah, because formalities are not
Reses, they inhere in the rest. There are.
You do believe the formalities. Wait, so for the formalities, like unbegottenness, is that a formality?
You could take it that way.
Is that res, according to you?
It can be really identified with the rest because of material identity.
Right, so it is res.
Materially, yeah.
So it is a res. Exactly. So I'm right. So either it's in our intellection, or do you believe in multiplicity of formalities in God and God's composite? Like I said, if those formalities are distinct in Ray, then there are distinct principles that require some uniting factor. So what unites those formalities?
First off, that doesn't follow.
That's
Ow.
a transitivity issue. Likewise, in man, I have both animality. Likewise, in man, I can have both rationality and animality, and I can be identified through animality with like beasts.
I'm granting those formalities are not have non-formal identity, and I never said the Father is the.
That doesn't entail
One
multiplying.
one second. I
or
never said.
multiplication of res.
One second. I never said.
Okay. It
I,
doesn't
one
entail
second. I
multiplication
never
of
said
res.
the formal concept of Father doesn't capture what the formal concept of Son is, and therefore.
It doesn't follow that res is
Granting
multiplied.
one second. I'm granting non-formal identity here.
Okay.
So if they require
Multiple formalities don't multiply the object.
Okay, so what unites the formalities?
The object itself.
Right. So God's composite. So the formalities compose God. You believe God is composite. Congratulations. Yes, it
Doesn't
does.
follow, dude. You're
Yes, the
inserting. You're
formalities
literally
are distinct
asserting
in
that.
If the formalities are distinct in Ray, then they have distinct principles that require some uniting factor. You said the res is
What's
what
the dude? That's the assertion right there. Like, what is the act? Like,
Okay.
how are you applying that to what we have been saying?
the formalities. So are formalities parts?
No, they're not.
No,
Okay, exactly. They're aspects of the same reality or the same res. So the divine essence, paternity are formally distinct, but you're saying they're identical in being. They're materially identical.
Yeah.
Cool. So if those formalities are distinct in Ray, then they are distinct principles that require something to unite those formalities. So what unites the formalities? What composes your
The
God?
rest itself. Okay,
Okay,
nothing
so God
composes first off.
himself.
Okay, so first off, you define composition as like having different heterogeneous parts, right?
What?
Okay, can you define composition?
I've already defined composition multiple times for you.
Okay, you define it one time.
Huh?
You define it only one time.
No, I defined composition multiple times for you.
Okay. What's the definition of your composition?
You went out. I didn't hear you. You went out there.
Your definition.
your
Very
mic. What's it called? Got it.
This is horrible. Okay. First off, you only gave the definition of composition once.
Yeah, multiple principles, multiple distinct principles, constituents or aspects that are united to form that being. That's what composition is, such that that being depends on the union for its reality.
Okay, there's no forming, therefore there's no composition.
Oh, you said that they're being united by the res. So that is forming.
United, they are.
That's what you said. Oh, so they are the res. So
They're not the perfection of what uniting. Therefore, there's no form.
so they are the res.
There's no composition. So first off, composition would be the product of some act of composing. There's no such act because there's one absolute res.
Okay, so how do you
There's
have
no-
multiple
there's no
formalities
composition.
if there's one absolute res? Right.
So how I have different formalities?
Do you
Is that your question?
hash out formality really quick?
Okay, so that would be some
Kind of definition which doesn't admit of another definition which isn't a res itself but inheres in a res.
Right. So an intrinsic irreducible aspect or some intelligible content of the thing that is already in question, correct?
Okay, some intelligible aspect of the thing, sure.
Okay. Are there multiple intelligible principles in God?
Sure.
Okay, so there are multiple formalities, really distinct formalities, really distinct principles in God.
Sure.
Okay, so your God's composed.
Wait, you need to
doesn't
cash
follow.
out what you're even defining that stuff is, bro.
I've already what?
You need to cash out what you're defining those things are
By
because
the way,
you're
that is
you're
part of-
critiquing off of your definitions right now.
Yeah, a constituent of a being is that which is different in reality or in ray from another constituent, such that it could be conceived to exist without the other. So I already hatched that out. Do we agree? Do we have a consensus on what that means?
First off,
It's not just different in our way of conceiving the thing. It actually exists in such a way that the being's active existence applies to each principle separately, which is polytheism, by the way.
it doesn't apply to each principle separately. What are you talking about?
You said they're really distinct principles in God. That's polytheism, dude.
because there are different formalities, but like really different
There are
principles.
distinct intelligible principles in God. God has no really distinct principles, but he does have formally distinct principles. You said they're really distinct.
Bro, how are you defining really
I'm
distinct?
just using it interchangeably because formal is referred to the work of the intellect.
How are you defining really distinct?
Really distinct principles means they're separable, independent constituents that will require something.
Okay.
That's the blunder right there.
You.
That's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Things
That's
that are
not
really
how we
distinct.
define really distinct, dude.
Okay, define really distinct from Gennadios. Go ahead.
The case prior to the work of the intellect.
Yeah, show me that in Gennadios.
It's on the distinction. It's literally in his work on the distinction, page 8.
Yeah, read it. Read it.
Kata, do you have it pulled up, or do you need me to pull it up?
I'm not behind my PC, so.
All right.
That's not how he defines it.
Have you literally said you haven't read on the distinction, dude?
It's not how he defines really distinct, though.
I'm telling you that is by his work on the distinction.
Can you show me?
Yes, I'm going to show you.
Okay.
I gotta pull it up.
And Gennadios Scholarios also says, like I said before, those relations are identical with the divine essence, really existing within it, inhering in it, and then they exist in reality, but are distinguished either conceptually or by the mode of understanding or mode of presentation. For in relation is shown in comparison to its opposite, which is not conveyed in the term essence. So actual being is one and the same with the essence and the relations. And if they were not the same as the essence in reality, they would be creatures. But you're saying there's multiple intelligible principles in God. So I guess there's multiple gods.
There's different formalities.
Formalities are intelligible principles now?
Okay, so first off, I define what a formality is.
Huh?
I define what a formality is. Right?
Which is...
By the way, God bless Jaden. God
You
bless.
turned into the grudge, man. You turned into the grudge for a second there.
This should be better. Right? Just connecting my mic. Should be way more clear now.
So I just don't understand how you say, like, in reality, there's one absolute simple act. Oh, wait, do you believe in pure act or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, what the heck? Like you say in Ray, there's one absolute simple act. There's no multiplicity of intrinsic principles, but wait, there is. What the heck?
Okay, so this one essence, this one being has three different modes of being.
Modes aren't substances, by the way. Modes are not substances, by the way.
That-
Fun fact.
Modes of substance is what entails like an individual substance, though.
Modes are not substances, though.
That's not what he's saying. Mode for us just means the way in which.
I know.
Yeah, that would differentiate one mode from another. Hence, you would have an individual substance.
Okay, how many individual substances?
3.
3? Okay, so 3. Oh, wait, so your God is really composed then?
What?
Bro, what?
So again, I already explained to you, bro. I already explained to you that first of all, you said you weren't
just using the briefing definition.
You said you weren't.
retarded?
You said you weren't invoking like a SCOTUS formal distinction. You got to probably drop down and come back up because that word. But you said you weren't invoking like a SCOTUS formal distinction. Then you did, and you said there were multiple formal principles or formalities in God. They're non-identical in formal content and what they express formally, but then identical in res. And then they allow for a genuine mind-independent difference between the divine attributes and relations. but the God is one act. Explain that.
Yeah, sure. Like there's one act of being human, or like one act of being the sun, yet it still emanates like light and heat simultaneously.
One act in being human, that's going to be a difference in like genus and differentia, right? We're composite. So again, you drawing the analysis to like us as creatures just kind of makes me wonder.
No, that's an analogy.
God is composite.
So first off, you can stop being facetious. That's just giving an analogy. Because there's one act of being human. Otherwise, you wouldn't be an individual.
So there's one pure act of being human?
What? You're putting words in my mouth. This is just dishonesty.
What do you mean?
One act. Okay.
Wait, real quick. This is how Scholarius would define real distinction. It exists in reality, or in actuality and reality, independently of the human mind or reasoning. That's how he would define it.
Okay.
That's from his work on the distinction.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the definition of our real, not what you said.
That's a real distinction.
That's not what you said.
What I said was invoking
Define
a
it
major
again.
rule. I was invoking a major rule. Real distinction reflect actual differences in experimental reality, independent of how we conceive of them. I kept saying separable because that's a major real distinction.
Yeah. So why were you trying to import a major real distinction on us?
They're not a modal distinction, correct?
What does that have to do with what I just asked?
So what kind of real distinction?
Yeah, the one that I just defined. We don't go over we don't use scholastic the scholastic
So you don't
category
know
of real.
what kind of real distinction. So
That's not what I said. That's not what I
Okay,
said.
so it's a major real distinction or minor?
Yeah,
real
again, we don't use those categories for the 15th
it's just
time,
real.
Moses.
So it's just real. We don't know if it's major or
I
minor.
gave you our definition of real. We don't have those. We don't use those categories.
Okay, so because you don't use those categories, I could hypothetically assume that you mean major real distinction.
No, you can't, because I already gave you the definition of
I
it.
can because you don't use those categories.
Yes, again, and I gave you the way in which we use it.
You said they're real distinctions, both, mind you, both major and minor.
Did I give you the definition or not? Because you're being dumb right now. You're being really dumb.
Major and minor real distinctions both reflect actual differences in experimental reality, mind you.
What does that have to do with what I just said?
Both of those definitions satisfy a real distinction. So I can hypothetically assume
Moses, so I'm gonna say this for the 16th time now. I gave you our category of real, and then you're still trying to imply and saying you can assume something onto the position that I gave you.
Well, you're just being bland.
No, I'm not. I gave you the definition.
Okay, so both major and minor real distinctions have those.
We're just gonna move on, bro. This dude doesn't actually want to, actually engage with what I'm giving him. He wants to just impose stuff that I'm not saying the whole time. Gosh, this guy's such an idiot, bro.
Bro, I'm fried, simple dumb. My brain's cooked, man.
He doesn't know what the freak he's talking about. He said, well, no, just because you say real, just because you don't say which real means I can just impose. In what logical sense does that follow?
He's able to infer, bro. Infer.
Yeah, but when I give him the very way that I'm using it, and he still tries to apply that when I say it's not applicable, then that's just dishonest.
No, he just put on this rhetoric mode, and the only thing he read on this, not even the relevant, like, small paper,